Well, hopefully we'll get a couple more attendees here by the end. Uh, but um, let's go ahead and get started for now. Um, Thanks everyone for joining on this March 19th instance of the Werewolf Technical Steering Committee meeting. Um, we have a few, excuse me, we have a few items on the agenda for discussion, but is there anything else that we need to add to this list before we get started? No. All right. So, action items for from last time. I don't think that this has been done. I have not documented the steering meeting on the website. Um, I did look into a better invite link. So I did change the invite link on the website to as good as we can do, which is it's active for 10 years or 400 uses. And I think the reason it ran out before is that we put this link up before we did the migration from HPCNG to Werewolf. So I think we just had used up our 400 uses for the previous invite link. So the next one that is out there now will probably last a while and it no longer pings Christian every time someone joins. And then I have not yet gotten contact information from Christian on a the right person to reach out to at SUSE for support if someone wanted to start purchasing commercial support and wanted to do it through SUSE. But the response to the message we sent out uh, at the beginning of the month, I think just after our last meeting, was reasonably positive, and we got a couple of people reach out to us on the CIQ side at least, and I hope SUSE sees some of that as well. Rose, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, thanks. I was actually looking on the SUSE website yesterday, and thinking about that as well, like what's the best way to kind of, encourage people to contact them. So would it be weird if like I just clicked on the button and said, "Hey, I'm from CIQ, but I'm part of the werewolf community. We'd love to know like the best way you want me to translate that information?"
I think that's a great idea if you're willing to do it. I'm sure they'll point you in the right direction.
I think
Sounds
so
good.
too. Yeah, I can take on that one. That's fine.
Okay.
And then also, sorry, that one that was on yours and you're like, "Oh, I didn't do that." What do you mean updating the website with this? Is it like the recording of this from last week? Is it like this document?
Really, just anything at all that says, "Hey, we have this meeting. This is when it is. This is how to get in touch with people on it." If you want to take that on, by all means, if that's what you're doing. I also don't mean to just assume that you're volunteering for it. But I think I had
Well,
this on my name before you started joining the meetings.
right. Well, you can assume I have literally volunteered myself to like
Okay.
take on the stuff that is the non-technical that I can do. I'm gonna have to get with you on what that means and who to go to and whatever. But like, yeah,
Making the change on the website is the easy part. Deciding how it should be said and like how to what gets linked up and what goes where, like that's the harder thing. So if you want to put attention onto that, by all means, I will put your name next to it, and that sounds great.
cool. Thanks.
Cool. So, the next thing on the list, at least what I have, is the 461 milestone that I would like to release. I'd like to get back on our regular cadence of putting out a release each month. I think Christian was uh, asking that we at least consider going down to every other month, but at least for right now, I know there are things that people are hoping to have sooner than later. And there are some things that are already committed. We have 5 things closed. I haven't backported anything into a release branch yet, but I'll do that soon. I guess it's just this one thing. It looked bigger because we have these closed out defend about bumps. Um, uh, but I think Tim, you did this, right? Is it just that GitHub Actions does support AArch64 now and we missed it, or was there
Yep,
more work that went into that?
I just made it build them all. I got to
Nice.
learn a lot about GitHub actions and matrices and all that neat stuff. So
Well, thank you for doing that. And then, so at least from a CIQ perspective, and I'll come out at it this way. Um, well, I will if I can get it to not hide everything that I want to see. It's probably in here. There we go. So here's the 461 milestone, and then things that we have tagged for CIQ. Oh, and then I want to see pull requests too, not just issues. So these are the things that are either a CIQ priority or a something that like one of our customers have asked for. And then separately, I started tagging some things for OpenHPC. Um, Tim, based on conversations that we were having and basically just things that you'd submitted also, but then also some conversations that were happening over in the OpenHPC Slack. We're getting close to the end here, so what I'd like to do myself anyway is start focusing on these things that have one or the other of these tags on it and try and get as much of this into the 461 release as possible. Hey there, Grisnog.
Hey, how's it going?
Doing well? You're missing the cool parts. Here it is. I'm right on it. But I wanted to check and see if there were things that people specifically would like to try and get into a 461 release to be released at the end of this month that isn't on either of these lists. So um, I'll get this one open real quick again so it's easy to see. Um, so I think mostly, Tim, if there's anything that you care about that isn't here that you'd want to see like real soon.
No,
Um,
those can wait. The overlay edit and import are actually my personal ones that I'm working on. We're not seeing that need specifically right now for Open HPC. Sometime in the future
okay. I
would
will
be good,
remove
but
those tags. I added them, I think, just to stuff that you had in here to be proactive about it. But now that that's done, I'm happy to take that back off. But um, just a minute. I think
they
I
are
might
quite
not be able
simple
to
and
hear you
just a
talking.
little.
Sorry. My phone does a thing where it rings and then because it's on Bluetooth, it takes over my headphones, and I can't hear anything else. So let me de-Bluetoothify that. There we go. Can someone say something so I can see if I...
Hello.
Hello.
Okay,
Those
thank you.
those
I can
those
hear you
two
now.
those two patches are fairly useful and pretty simple, so you may want to consider those.
Okay, yeah, and pull requests are likely to get considered regardless just because they're ready to go. Um, or, at least more so. Um, so this is something that came up in the OpenHPC Slack earlier. I think Adrian was asking if there was a way to do exactly this, to modify the mount configuration without having to edit things in an editor. So I I think this is a little bit larger than what's likely to get in 461. Um, but this one should be easier. But anything else that needs to be considered for 461 or prioritized for 461 maybe is the right way to put that.
The last one is actually that's a patch I've done. One of my
Oh,
two
you have
patches
this.
yes.
Is it
Oh,
already
it's
done?
not tagged to it.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I was going to ask is because I think I was trying to import something and I had to delete it before I could import, and I just didn't know if that was already fixed.
It's overwrite as opposed to force. It's the second one.
Yeah. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, so this closes 386.
Hey, I've been distracted recently. When this imports, what does it import from?
The command line and a file.
Yeah, you're picking a file. I just want to bring stuff into the overlays, but like I said, in the past, I've had to delete the file and the overlay before I can pull a new one in.
This imports a file into an overlay. It doesn't import a whole overlay.
Oh, okay. I was getting really, really hopeful there that I could import and export overlays and
That
profiles and stuff.
it needs to be on the list, but yeah, this existing command imports a file into an overlay. Okay, so I fixed that so we see that there's a pull request with it. Yeah, there it is. Um, Great. So the one other thing I wanted to bring up um, on the CIQ side of things, for 461 anyway, is this REST API. And we are incentivized to get this merged. But I also don't want to just ram it through. Christian talked about maybe having time to look at it, but I think he looked at it like statically, just looked at the code. I don't know if anybody's had a chance to build it and try to use it. Um, I'm happy to have someone on our side do the review and approve it, but I also don't want to like I said, ram it through. So I'm interested, I think particularly Grisnog and Jeremy, on your opinion on whether either of you would have an opportunity or a chance or time to look at this and try to use it and give an opinion on it and approve or ask for changes, or if you would support and be okay with us just having probably Jason, because he has commit access and can approve PRs, do another code review. He and I worked on it together, but he could do a final review and approve or not as it is. What do you think?
I
I'm
I oh, good.
I was just going to say I'm quite interested in it. It's wrap it into my work I'm doing with redfish right now. Um, and a quick question on, I mean, in terms of handler, I mean, is it just going through is the uh, what all does our REST API capable of doing?
So it can do some minimal CRUD for create, retrieve, update, delete
Yeah.
for nodes, profiles, overlays, and images.
Okay.
And it's not complete coverage by any means, but those are the four entities. That's like the view of the world that it is targeting. And so it can also build images, like it can build node images and it can build overlay images. Um, you can't. Well, yeah, with the API, you can, in fact, like import new node images and import. I think you can't import overlays. You can create an overlay and then create a file in an overlay,
Okay.
but you can't do a full import yet.
Okay. I I am especially interested if this has the capability of if I could remotely connect to the Werewolf using the REST API to get all the information about a particular cluster. Nodes,
Yes.
node info, that's where it becomes very useful.
So you can do that with this now.
Okay.
What you can't do, so it doesn't have any SSL or TLS out of the box. You would need to
Mhm.
wrap that with a reverse proxy.
Okay.
And the reason we haven't prioritized that is our use case is to access this from Cockpit. So the client is local to the machine. So
Okay.
it doesn't matter. But if you were actually going to touch it from outside, you would want to do it through a proxy.
Is there a I don't actually know. Does Werewolf currently support HTTPS connections for the
Not natively, it just is
Okay.
an HTTP server.
Okay. I think that don't we have a request on that, like a feature
I do
request
think
for
there's an
security?
issue for it. It's mostly just
Yeah.
the CA management that we haven't wanted to deal with yet.
Okay.
Man,
So
if
Jeremy, is
somebody
this you saying that you're going to look into this and try and build it and see
I
what you
actually want to
think?
I actually want to try the API, yes. I mean this I'm very interested in trying to test out some REST requests because this
By
might
all
actually solve some
means, let me know
problems.
if you have problems with it, because it's getting close now to not being able to get it into 461. If we can, I'd love to.
Yeah.
If not, I definitely want to get it into 462.
I don't know if you remember, but way back when, a couple of years ago, I really wanted the ability for users to be able to go and fetch info from the Werewolf database remotely.
Yes,
Um, so
I
this
think I've
might
seen
solve the
that in the
issue.
list anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
Here, I'm gonna real quick.
Put me on as a reviewer. I will go review this.
Oh, great. That's a good idea. Thank you. There is metadata for this. Um, um, If you'll give me just a moment, I will give. I might break protocol and give the tiniest unofficial sneak peek of this thing that we're making. So this is our consumer for that API.
Oh, wow, that showed the rendered file for that node that you had selected.
Yeah,
That's pretty sweet.
that's why I came over here. But then we have stuff like this and stuff like this.
So this is the CIQ's commercial product plan.
That's the plan, is that this will be and it's just a consumer of that API. But we'll be talking about that more soon. Okay, back here.
Hey, just
Thank
a second. Since I'm a paying Rocky customer for Werewolf support, can I get access to that?
Well, that is a discussion. The actual cost model for it isn't completely set in stone, and there are some parts of that discussion where the answer would be yes, and there are some parts of that discussion where the answer would be a slightly different answer.
This is important to me to follow up on because I am leaving my current job at the end of this month, and the people who I'm leaving with the mess I have built would benefit greatly from a tool like this.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah, you should talk to Rose. In her with a different hat on. All right. Rose, let's jump over to your stuff. You've got the next two with Perk and SC25.
Oh, is it pronounced perk? I've been pronouncing it purse.
No, it's Perk
Pierce? Perk?
It's a perk.
Well,
because it's C for computing. It's a
embarrassing. Okay, awesome. So yeah, we have, as the Werewolf community, with your okay, of course, have put together a submission for both Perk and then in the future SC, but this one specifically Perk because it's coming up, to do a BOF, a little birds of a feather meeting at that conference. So if you guys want to, I think I can just share it inside of here as just something that you can open up and look at real quick. Oh, you're sharing. Did you want to go to the actual page or you want me to do it? I have it open.
Yeah, I'll just pull it up just a minute.
Okay, cool.
It's
So I guess one question is, are any of you going to that conference and do you have opinions on this?
I'm going, and my boss is the co-chair. So I will be doing all the things there.
should we put your name on as a co-organizer of this buff?
I don't know. It's not going to change if it gets accepted or not, but
Yeah, no, I'm more not because of who you are specifically, but I think that more organizers looks good in terms of like not forever, but more.
yeah,
than
no,
2
I would be willing to be on that.
Awesome. Yeah, and not just one company too. I think it does
Yeah.
look, but it's a group effort.
Should I put it on as Internet 2 or OpenHPC or what?
Internet too.
Internet 2? Okay.
I'm just loosely associated. I just volunteer for OpenHPC, so it's part of my community work.
Okay. And then we'll need to add like because there is a specific direction to have text about what each person will be doing. So we'll need to add something about that. But sorry, Rose, I've kind of taken over.
No. We're all in this together. So yeah, we have a basic background about what Werewolf is, the proposed topic, and then of course a proposed schedule. So yes, would love any thoughts, comments, yay or nay.
So the reviewers typically ding these things if they look too much like a vendor. And I'm seeing some of that stuff in there. So, in terms of making a strong proposal, I would talk more, like emphasize the community aspect and the open source nature of it.
Open source
But
for sure. We do have some stuff about community stuff, but let's make sure we get this shared to you also, because your feedback could be really useful here.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, Ian plans on being there at both conferences as well. That's great.
Nice.
The other thing is that the topic of the conference is collaboration. So a nod to collaboration probably would help.
Ian, could we maybe put you on here as well? Because I think that speaks to the collaboration cross company.
Sure. I mean, I can definitely help out, even if I don't make it, but I'm yeah, budget issues are budget issues.
Jeremy, do you know if OpenHPC has a BOF at PERC?
They should.
Okay.
That we generally go. I won't be there. It's as I understand, it's really cheap if you are in education, but for commercial companies, it's really expensive.
You just found a university and go into
I
those offices.
don't believe so, to be honest. I think the prices don't change.
Well, they always get some deals, because I remember I was even when I was in Portland, it was like $1,000 or $1,200 for me to get into the conference just to go support OpenHPC.
That's what it is for regular folks as well.
Yeah.
Now for academic folks, there's lots of opportunities to get funding, but
Right.
travel support. But no, it's up there in the terms of regular conference prices. So
Yeah, Chris has always attended.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he'll be there. But yeah, we usually, at least for the last many years, we've always put had a BOF and sometimes do classes, presentations. So
and with my PERC hat on, there is industry sponsor opportunities as well. So there's a perspectives if you're interested.
Yeah. Ian, if you can send me an email, either in Slack or anywhere, I'll get you added as a commenter here also, so you can provide feedback on this. More generally, oh yeah.
So the last thing I'll say in general, PERC, since you, Rosie, haven't been there before, it's really a people conference. It's about research, computing, and data people. So SC is the hardware side, and PERC is really the people side of this whole ecosystem. So it's a lot about the people part of it. So how does this product or how does this community led effort help the community, sort of thing?
Thank you. I appreciate that added context. So this submission is actually due here in a couple of days. If you guys have, Jonathan is adding you all to be able to comment on here and make any changes that you would like to make. Is it okay if we take your suggestions, do a couple more edits on here and then submit it? I think it's the 22nd. So yeah, it's in a couple of days here.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's okay.
Yeah, I probably won't have. When's it due?
The 22nd, I believe. Today's the 19th. So
Okay, I have minimal time between now and then. I'm simultaneously coordinating the writing of two PERC papers that are due at the end of the month.
God bless.
So I've been spending 4 to 5 hours a day on Zoom coordinating writing sessions and writing. So
Well, thank you for sharing one of those hours with us.
I know. Yes. Thank you. Wow. That's a lot.
right.
Okay, so we can maybe talk about the SC one later. That submission is not due for quite some time.
Okay. Let me move that to a future date then. But just so people are aware, we are hoping to propose an SC BOF as well. And barring that, don't I hope this isn't taken the wrong way, but if not, if that doesn't get accepted, we'd like to help support, and frankly, even if it does, like to help to support the Open HPC BOF too, and be involved in that in some way.
Yep, for sure.
At least that's what I have been thinking.
What is this comment? Makeup ICW in conjunction. Oh, okay. That's okay. In conjunction with event, right? Exactly. So there is another opportunity to submit at PERC for an in conjunction with. That was actually kind of fun reading about it. She said, I emailed the lady and she said that you can basically have one of the rooms if they are available. People tend to, to meet and congregate with your people, the werewolf people. And people like to do it around lunchtimes. They can go get like the buffet that apparently is offered and then go meet in a room if it's available. So is that something that you guys want me to submit for it as well? Again, we're kind of like, well, if we make the BOF, then we probably don't need the other one. So I don't know if it's too much.
And there's a decent amount of competition for the lunches. And you typically are eating with your mouth or talking with your mouth full. I personally do not like those events. In conjunction with is also larger. You can also do that like a full day workshop or something like that, events as well. So
If you're
another
doing
event.
that, though, that's probably like an external sponsorship event, though, right? That would need to be something where like CIQ hosts it, or is that something that happens at PERC and is accepted?
It happens at PERC. You can get rooms. So
Okay.
another thing I'm involved with is RCD Nexus Day, which is a full day workshop, and that's in conjunction with, so it's the day before, the Sunday before. So I'm assuming you wouldn't want like a full day workshop sort of thing. But I'm just letting you know that's kind of what it is. There's also workshops as well that you can do. But
okay. Well, maybe
I think
for now,
my preference, Rose, would be to focus on the BOF and see how that goes. And if OpenHPC has a BOF as well, again, if they aren't approved separately, maybe we could just consolidate efforts and contribute to the OpenHPC BOF.
Sounds good. Okay, then the other thing to ask you guys, like, is it all right? Does it make sense to have a steering committee Slack channel? I think a lot of this stuff could kind of be
There is one, and I think I just need to invite you to it.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
I will do that right now.
Word. The next one's Tim. Cool. Thanks, guys. Glad to be here.
Jeremy, did you want to do the updates for the OpenHPC?
No, your name's on it. No.
Okay.
I'm kidding. I'm happy to join in, but go ahead.
Yeah, so OpenHPC is about to drop 3.3, not about, but they're working on it, or we are working on it. Alma Linux has become a member, and that's why one of the reasons why I did the pull request for Alma Linux distribution. The other reason is there's a group in Africa that writes OpenHPC recipes, but they primarily target Alma because their user base uses Alma. So it would also help those folks out as well. So that was my kind of motivation for that. I recently believe I got a workaround or fix for the issue, but what had happened is that the systemd OOM user ID had snuck into the Alma Linux image, and it's the first dynamic one, so it automatically conflicts with anything that's on the host. So it was causing issues around that.
Yeah, and there is no automatic conflict resolution. That it has to be done manually, which is kind of a pain.
Made it extremely difficult because it only migrates host to container, but so it's a chicken and egg thing, and by removing it from the container, then that reduces the conflict, and then the sysadmin could go ahead and solve those issues if they wanted. Before, it made it a lot more difficult.
Yeah. So the intent for like the way that you're meant to do it, and maybe this isn't clear from what it says either in the docs or like the help text that comes out of it. You're meant to add the conflicting user to the host, to the Warewulf server. And then that because it will do conflict resolution as long as it knows what IDs everything should have. And it uses the host's definition of that ID as authoritative. So if you have a user out on the container in the in node image that is not on the Werewolf server, it doesn't know what ID it should have, what it should move it to. But if you add that user locally, now it has an ID to move that node images user over to. So with a script, you could just do an add user for that user, and then it would be able to do a sync user.
Yeah, so and the documentation would help. Of course, I wouldn't have read it, but so thanks for that information. The other thing I was just thinking, I don't know if this is the proper channel for this, was that a sync user where it only syncs the users above 1,000 would also be another solution where the user management was handled locally on the containers by themselves. And just an add to that is when you do a chown on an overlay, it would be nice if it picked up the user ID off the container, but that's can be talked offline. That was just kind of my thinking, and just in general to communicate the fact that it's not an easy problem to solve, or it gets kind of messy. So
yeah, I think the first of those is a really good like immediate suggestion. We should be able to specify during the sync user command an ID range or maybe a minimum ID or something like that that it applies to. Um, and then maybe support configuring that in werewolf.conf so you don't have to specify that every time. That might be a good idea. Having that be the default where it just always looks at 1,000 and above wouldn't be a solution for at least some of the use case, because one of the main use cases is Munge, and Munge usually has an ID, at least by default, that is below 1,000. So
and that's exact when I was having problems because yeah. So your solution of adding the container user manually to the host would have solved that as well. I just removed that unused user
yeah.
out of the container, and then that solves the problem as well. But okay, I appreciate y'all's time in terms of wrapping my head around this, and I'm just also communicating that there's difficulties in this area space.
Yeah. Well, that's why as I was saying this morning, we have some mechanisms, but we've always left it to the administrators to kind of make sure they keep things clean. You don't just grab random node images and throw them on a node and expect it to work out of the box.
What was the second thing, Tim? There was the ID range, and then there was another thing, another suggestion or possibility of something to change.
Yeah, that was it. Just sync above 1,000.
Well,
Oh, the other one was, and I just realized that's probably you can't do it, but in the overlay you set the UID number.
Shown from what
Yeah,
would
but
be
it
on the
pulls it from the overlay, but that's not going to work because you would have to specify the container that it's associated with.
we could have the chown command accept a minus minus from image or something like that. We do similar things when you import. You can import a file from it in an overlay template. So there would be some precedent for that.
Well, there's a bunch of other potential ideas. I mean, I like the idea of syncing in a range. I like the idea of excludes, like don't override specific users. Even though the host always takes precedence, but having an option to disable specific users so that doesn't happen. The other is, the other one is when sync users runs, I'd really like it to run a full getInt and pull all the users in, including the ones my head node is when it's attached to LDAP or NIS.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Right now, it's just parsing the file. So yeah.
So with a disclaimer that I have a deep loathing of sync user in general. I really think this problem needs to be split into two pieces, one below 1,000 and one above 1,000. Below 1,000, like the Munge thing, completely goes away with service, with an override for a service that basically says when you start Munge, it does an exec start pre in that service that fixes the file permissions and the ownership based on the local node's Munge ID, no matter what that ID is, right? Because you don't care if that's globally the same, you just care if the node works. And that applies to almost all services across the board. You can just add something to the service so that when the service starts, it self-corrects all of its files. That's easy to do. Above 1,000 long-term, System D has a user group info whole layer that puts all of this into a JSON format that's kind of a standard and would very easily fit into the nodes.conf file so that you could have www control add user, www control remove user. Or if you had LDAP upstream, you could have a process that builds that from the LDAP upstream, put in there, and then Warewulf could manage everything above 1000, keep that in sync on the master and all the nodes from a configuration file that described all the actual user accounts.
So by the time you do that, why wouldn't you just join your nodes to an LDAP?
That's absolutely the better solution, but people keep insisting that sync user is a good idea, and I just would like it to work well instead of be kludgy.
Yeah, and my perspective on that is it is kludgy for people that don't want to do the right thing of having an LDAP, and it's good enough for that. But I'm loath to uh go down other paths when there is an already better other path that's available.
So Jonathan, I'm not necessarily disagree, but we use LDAP, but when it gets down to the cluster, it switches down. So the head node connects to LDAP, and then we get into.
Oh yeah, just copying files into
Yeah.
it, I can kind of see. I worry for like large cluster or large user groups. There are people that we have interacted with that bring thousands or tens of thousands of users in with sync user, and I worry about that. But I don't know. I just
Yeah.
by the time we start talking about giving a JSON file to systemd that you generated out of LDAP, I'm like, why not just connect LDAP actually?
So I don't want to give it to systemd. I want to use that format so that it's future
Oh,
and use that format for a sync user command.
I see. I
Yeah.
misunderstood that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just want to use that format because it's actually a pretty clean format, and it inevitably we will be using that format whether we want to or not. Pottering will win at some point, and we will use that format. So I figured, why not go ahead and just accept that and start using it now?
On the same thought about the sync users, same thing with groups and synchronization of the shadow information.
Oh, yeah.
Because my expectation is that, right, if I'm syncing root, I want root synced so I can log in with the same password automatically.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, group does sync now, but it's just Shadow that doesn't.
Okay.
And yeah,
We want the
Shadow,
same things. I may not want all my groups synced. I may only want a range of groups synced.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Christian, welcome. You are here just in time to talk about this pull request that you asked that we talk about.
Oh yeah, I don't like this pull request. The main problem there is that it fixes the CVE.
Yeah. And there's no
that's
way to do
the
it
thing
without
is
bumping.
it wants to update XNet, so this Go sublibrary XNet, and yeah, I don't know if we ignore it or not.
I mean,
Because
ultimately, so for people that didn't see the context for this, so this is a dependabot pull request to fix a CVE in one of our dependencies, and I guess doing so bumps us from 1.22 to 1.23. 1.23 is not in Rocky 9, at least. I don't know if it's in SUSE.
Right. I don't know.
But I think that just makes us a non-starter.
Yeah.
So we can either ignore this or try to fix the CVE some other way. But I don't think we can go to 1.23.
Hey,
apparently toolchain 1.24.
Yeah. And
I think I asked this before, but I forgot the answer. Why don't we just have the makefile download and install its own Go?
I am opposed to it, but I'm not the only person making the decision. I think that you should build things with the tools that are in the thing. And if you can't build it with the target platform, then there's a problem.
that has been brought up as a solution to our OpenHPC issue with OpenOiler.
Yeah.
Because but it's not a minor fix to have the system require a brand new version of Go that's not in the base operating system.
There are definitely people that feel that way, especially with Go, because of the way it builds and you don't bring the whole tool chain with you. Or I guess you do bring it. There's not a dependency, not an external dependency on the whole tool chain. But um, my preference would be to maintain that you can build it with the build environment that you're targeting.
So how do you, in a case like this where we have to do for a CVE a version that we can't get in Rocky 9 or Rocky 8, what's the fix? Just ignore the CVE?
Well, the first thing is I haven't seen what the CVE is.
You can ignore the CVE in that case, that the CVE is which they are fixing, that you can specify, so the parsing of the IPv6 addresses is wrong, so that you accidentally could connect to more IPv6 addresses than you think the IP address, how it looks like. And the thing here is, I don't know really how an attacker could really kind of leverage this. Because it's kind of, it would be the case that you say, for example, if you specify the server address with some kind of wildcards, then it could be another one, a sneaky attack. But it's
But our IP addresses and our IPv6 addresses, like those are all admin provided anyway. It's not like we are
all
accepting
admin
them.
provided anyway, and he's root anyway. So it might be possible that a user could fork something in an environment variable, but then still he needs to be root anyway.
This is one of those things that's super annoying to me where it's a CVE that logically and rationally you could completely ignore. But somewhere out there, there's some poor admin who has a security drone who doesn't know what Go is, who wants to check a box that the version number is correct, right? And they're going to
Right.
get hammered over something like this.
Well, it's similarly annoying to me that the CVE in Golang net is not backported, like the fix for it isn't backported to a
Yeah.
previous Golang version. That's the one that's available in enterprise Linux versions. But maybe that'll provoke upstream to bring down a new version too. I don't know.
It must not be a very big CVE if they're not backporting it.
Yeah.
When did we start supporting IPv6?
Oh, there's been stuff in there for a while. It's more that we're using a net library that accepts IP addresses,
Yeah.
so it accepts an IPv6 address now.
I'm only laughing. I don't think I've ever seen a single cluster that's running IPv6.
Yeah. There was an interesting little I think it was on Y Combinator, Hacker News or whatever. Someone posted about Werewolf in there. And then someone was like, "Oh, how could it be for high performance computing if they don't even support IPv6? They need all those addresses for all those nodes." Like, yeah, your cluster isn't usually on the public internet, so it doesn't really matter.
I think I've ran it by mistake before.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever ran it on purpose.
I run
All
it
right.
on purpose for fun, so.
Yeah. Well, I think if you're not running IPv6 at internet too, then that makes more sense. I've done a little bit of IPv6 work, just specifically trying to see how far we can get with support with Fuzzball and with Werewolf. But it hasn't been a complete solution yet. We did get parts of it working, which was fun.
I will be working on it in a bit, just in my spare time.
Yeah. All right. Anything else we need to discuss on any of these or other topics before we go for the day?
Can you add to the point, can someone review the REST API? Also from my side, can someone please review the persistent install?
What was that?
He wants me to review the persistent install stuff.
Okay.
I will make sure I'm tagged as a reviewer on it.
I used Drakut for the first time and it worked like a charm.
Wonderful.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
using it currently.
the real fun thing about this is when you dump the CPR image directly to disk. I'm always surprised how fast this goes. It's kind of suck and
Yeah.
it's there.
I will note that there, and I have tagged myself to re-review. I will say, Christian, I think that the last time I looked at it, I had like questions and comments, and I don't think that there
Oh, I
was
trust them.
that
I
they were
think.
addressed to it. But I'll see. I know you rebased it, so I'll look at it for sure.
Yeah, it was not just a rebase. I had to
Well,
change
yeah,
some
with
things.
changes.
Hmm?
Rebase with changes to make it work
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks everyone. I appreciate everyone's support and contribution to the project. This is great. And let us know also if there's I've been
Can I
seeing more
ask you?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, Jonathan, to interrupt you. Are there plans from your side to have a cockpit API for this, or
So that's what the REST API is for.
is there anything visible right now publicly,
Yeah,
or is
I
it
showed
just
it a little bit earlier in the meeting.
so yeah,
I'll tell you
that
what.
is my fault. Sorry.
This
Yeah.
is being recorded. How about you go watch the video and then you'll be able to see
Okay,
it.
cool.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks everyone. Have a
Right.
great day.
Yeah, later.
Ciao.